perception by human beings as Tagore. Now, I was wondering, as a person who is a scientist, who is one of our leading scientists, and also a person as invested as you are in literature and the arts, I was wondering how a person's mind works to perceive these two different or maybe interconnected beauties in science and in literature. I read this book by Charles Darwin before he wrote The Origin of Species. After graduating from Cambridge, he went on this ship called the HMS Beagle, and he wrote a book called The Voyage of the Beagle. It's about his experience of touring the world in the 1830s. And I remember a passage where he is in the southern tip of South America, in Cape Horn, and he's looking at a beautiful sunset. And he's saying it's a beautiful sunset, but he describes it that, the radiating light creates an exquisite quadrant, and it is at right angle and at a tangent to. So this is all mathematical and geometrical terms in which he is perceiving a natural.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
I forgot to instruction. Fortunately, it comes the right time now.
Maybe this is a demo of how.
Yeah.
Probably the alarm was set then.
Sorry, the question is important. Sorry, yeah. Go on, please.
Yeah. So, something that we would perceive as simply a riot of colors and radiating sun and all that in natural imagery, he perceives as a typical scientist in terms which talks about measures and geometry and mathematical terms and so on and so forth. So, and we also hear about some kind of symmetry, some natural beauty existing, like the golden ratio or phi, like the pi, like the ratios which Da Vinci explored in the Vitruvian Man, and so on and so forth. I was just wondering, as you can take yourself as an example, how do you perceive the beauty of science? Like people look for elegant equations, elegant theories, and how you perceive the beauty of literature and the arts. Are the tools that you employ to understand the beauties of these, are they same or are they different?
No, they're complementary. They're not the same. But they're complementary. I mean, if I may say, please don't misunderstand. I'm very careful of not being sound, again, Carzonian, pompous. I don't like pomposity. What I want to say is that sometimes if you are toiling with an idea for months and not getting anywhere, quite often if you look at a beautiful sky at the sunset or read a beautiful poem, not necessarily in Bengali, I don't know French unfortunately, that has to be English, okay. It gives a sort of some creative urge somewhere. And how it happens, I don't know. People have analyzed that, and neuronic metabolism and all that, but hell with it. It does work, actually. I think it happens because certain creative instincts get aroused. That's the point. So when someone like Darwin looks at a sunset, he appreciates the sunset in his own mind in a different way than who is not a Darwin, if you see what I mean. I think they both go hand in hand. The whole point of the talk is something wrong with our educational structure, if you don't mind. I remember as a child, any reasonable family would have a course on mathematics and astronomy right from the beginning. And here what is happening now, what if Bhabha don't do mathematics? Everybody is scared stiff of mathematics because they're starting too late, I think. Mathematics is like learning to write in a different language, okay? I think somehow this fear of mathematics has to go very early in age. Then you can appreciate Ramanujam, okay, for instance. Now the Ramanujam, deliberately I give that example of their identity. And that guy G.N. Watson was so overwhelmed, he compared with the greatest sculpture in the world. So there is a sort of a, how do I say, complementarity, if you like, between the two forms of...
But they are both dependent on human...
Absolutely, that's what Tagore right. It all depends on human eyes, human thoughts. Although I think, now that the talk is over, and don't kill me, please. It is Bengal, right? This is Bengal. But I think Einstein probably is right. Probably is right. He is right about beauty. I see something and say, how beautiful. That he agreed upon. But truth, how can it be totally human dependent? That I don't understand. Yeah, today's world, you are quite right. Yes.
But do you think mathematics exists in this world independent of man?
No, no.
Mathematics is something that man
Right.
created.
It's a language. It's actually a language, I think. But I was reading for some other purpose about the ancient Vedic period, how they discovered so-called Pythagorean theorem, purely from diagrams. Who said that's something up here? Diagrams, crisscross diagrams, and suddenly it comes out. No A square, B square, nothing. So it depends what medium you use to understand the world. You have a question, madam?
Yes, please.
I think I'll lead to the chairman now.
Okay. The scientists thought of the Big Bang theory. Were there alternative theories also, and what were they?
Oh, that's a very good story. I have to come back. The theory before that relevant was actually steady-state theory, which is philosophically more appealing. Fred Hoyle and company in Cambridge, they thought the universe is more or less the same all through, independent of time. That is called steady state. The universe is in a steady state all the time. That means time is not relevant. But then there was some experiment done by Penzion and Wilson in America, where they found through observation the hiss of that I explained, the hiss expanding universe. And they thought this detection in the antenna of that hiss is because there's some pigeon dirt in the antenna, some pigeon, you know what I mean, pigeon had done something, some sort of dirt. They cleaned it, but the hiss wouldn't go. And that is the detected, the hit of the hiss of the expanding universe. So the universe is expanding, it has to come to a point where it started. And that's the beginning of the Big Bang. But now it's proved without a doubt it was a Big Bang. But to answer your question even more so, some friends like Roger Penrose, he has a theory, this is only one universe, one epoch, one eon, as it were. There was another universe before, and that after expansion and expansion, cooled down, so much so that all the black holes, billions of black holes, was warmer than the universe. They started popping. And once they start popping, the huge energy of the black hole was the beginning of the Big Bang of the next universe. So time goes on.
But then why couldn't it be a series of implosions and explosions instead of one Big Bang?
No, we don't have series of implosions. That could be small time, but not the creation of the universe itself. In star, there is always explosions going on. Even in sun, explosion goes on. But not in a scale where there was no space, no time. Difficult to perceive, I know. Sorry.
Not like an earthquake with aftershocks. One big bang.
क्या भाई हाँ सब question हाँ
Any further questions?
yeah there is a question
Oh, there's one question.
I'm back to what you mentioned earlier, that our rural schools, in the past, I'll say up to 70, for the city of Calcutta students, school students, had the privilege, the BITM role, which has great impact for their thinking on the science.
whose role sorry
Thinking on science. But subsequently, some museum have, other part of our state has started. But the impact is not that much. It may be the reason the communication in the school classroom, where teachers are still with only blackboard and not much visuals, which is help the student to understand. Visuals are available on the net. They are not either not keen or not to take pain to download and project.
Right, absolutely right.
Thank you, sir.
Can I say why? I shouldn't
Please.
say, it's presumptuous of me. They're not interested. All they're interested is to ring the bell before the school ends, and the same teacher rushes to his home, and the same students go to his home for tuition. And the truth is, because I look after a school and a college in a place in Murshidabad called Kandi, is my home village. And there I see that before the time is up, bell is ringing. And one farmer, putting it very politely, has two teachers for physics teaching, at home. One for drawing, one for mathematics. I said, are you mad or what? And then he said, what can I do? It's the pressure of the society. So you are a grandfather like me, but the point is, if you have a little son, a little daughter, if you don't have tutors, you will be castigated in the plaster society. Gosh,
Have a
I'm
question,
headed.
sir? Yeah.
Sir, yes.
Sorry, I'd like to, I'm like many other people, I suppose, I'm really quite concerned about the connections between science and military technology. And it seems to me, from listening to you, that science is making linear progress. So, of course, is military technology. There are connections between the two. Now, I mean, let's move away from, great advances like CERN for a moment. How do you see the connections between progress in military technology and progress in science to be divorced once and for all?
You wanted divorce? No.
I'm sure it's desirable because you've mentioned Hiroshima, you've mentioned Nagasaki. I mean, where is the world going to get to if science and military technology continue to be hand in hand?
Well, the point is that you are quite right, because the technology that science is using, I didn't want to say that in the talk, can be used for all kinds of devastating reasons. For instance, the business of cyber hacking, cyber stealing, and so on and so forth. That's happening, right? And therefore there's quantum computing happening, and which to protect the information and so on. This I don't know how to solve the problem, because most human beings don't want science. They basically want a very simple thing, actually, Hare Krishnan, I think. They want improvement of their lifestyle. They had one car, they want two cars. They have one house, they want two houses. Human beings have become extremely materialistic. So any chance to use technology for their own benefit financially, they jump to it. Bhagati science, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Really, honest, nobody's interested in science. But they're interested in the fallout of science, very much. Now that has to stop some point in time, I think.
All right, you have something?
Sir, please enlighten us a little about environmental issues regarding climate change. The world seems to be divided, though in uneven strength, about the danger of impending doom regarding climate change. Your views on this, sir?
Climate change you're talking about.
Climate change, I'm talking.
It's a very sorry state of affairs. My opinion is that not very much as, not very enthusiastically anything has happened so far. And the most rich countries are mostly responsible for environmental pollution. And the developing countries like India are going to suffer most because they're developing, as simple as that. And it's a very bad news. People don't think about it, but I think my friend here, Christian, has been talking about it. I have been talking about God knows how many years. I've given up now. Human beings are not bothered. The earth they have inherited, they're going to go away from this earth, destroying this earth with pollution. And you see that every day in Calcutta, you can't breathe. Half the kids suffering from asthma. I mean, what are you doing? But nobody's bothered. Nobody's bothered. Have you seen, when I was a kid, there were only hardly few cars, Ambassador, wretched car. But now the streets are getting narrower and cars are getting bigger. It's crazy. আচ্ছা সাহেব আপনি কি ভাষায় কথা বলবো বাংলা বলবো বাংলা বুঝতে পারেন আপনি বাঙালি বলেন কি আচ্ছা না আমি জিজ্ঞেস করছি point is that have you seen anywhere in the world the way we waste water in Calcutta? এই যে কল খুলে রেখে দেওয়া হয়েছে it hurts me because we are very lucky with water খুলে দিয়ে চলে গেছে. There will be a war on water soon between America and Canada. You think I'm mad, but I'm not. Water is a very, very precious commodity. খুলে দিয়ে চলে গেছে ওই ছ করে পড়ে যাচ্ছে.
স্যার সে তো আছে আমার বক্তব্য হলো যে at this age we might call it a plastic age. If that be so, can we and can you from your platform as one of the most noted scientists of this part of the universe, I mean world, can impress upon the government to stop the production of plastic bags?
So I hope I'm not offending anyone. The government is not interested. The government is interested in one thing. Shall I say what? Vote. Right? That's all. Government is interested. I mean, they can murder people, they can kill people, they can destroy people because of vote. It's a sad state of affairs, actually. Because why vote? If they're re-elected, some more money. I'm sorry to be so cynical.
They wouldn't mind even if the voting slips are in plastic. Not destroyed and can
Yeah.
be reused again. Yes.
Okay, sir, last question, please.
To return to the beauty and aesthetics of it for a moment, to return to the beauty and aesthetics in your
Thank you
topic
very
for a
much.
moment, is there an image or a series of images which, to your mind, particularly demonstrate the beauty that is to be found in science? Now, it's an enormous term when one says science, right? So the abstract quality of a virus is perhaps just as beautiful as the Horsehead Nebula. But do you have any specific favorite images from the scientific world which to you demonstrate the incredible beauty and the aesthetic quality of the scientific process?
That's very interesting. If let me answer that question by giving an example. You see, recently we celebrated the Large Hadron Colliders some years or something, doesn't matter. So our friend Rolf Hoyer, Director General, he had a crazy idea, which I believe he had difficulty in the council to pass, to appoint a group of people to make some orchestra about proton going round and round. And it's an extraordinary orchestra. I'm not a great specialist in orchestra, but I understand a little bit. There, I think these two beauties merged, as you say, got completely mixed with other. And it sounded very different than usual opera orchestra, as it were. Beautiful. If that answers your question.
So that's what appeals to you.
Right. So, other form of stimulation takes place there, and you begin to appreciate with a different light, as it were. But that needs a sensitivity which is not there very much, really. Okay?
I think we have had a lot of questions and a lot of interaction. Thank you very much, Professor Sinha. We have a little pleasant task to perform, but before that, one or two things that struck me was, somebody was asking about, whether mathematics and things plays a kind of role. I was just reminded of an incident. I know a gentleman, Dr. Krishnan, from the Indian Statistical Institute, and he had such a high-powered glasses that till he wore his glasses, he couldn't see anything. He was almost blind. But then, early in the morning, to find where his toothbrush was or where the other accessories were, he used a mathematical matrix form to place these exactly in that format. And using that matrix, he could exactly figure out where the toothbrush was, where the toothpaste was, and where the soap was,
That's
and so on and
incredible
so
story,
forth.
actually.
Yeah, and this is a true story, absolutely true story. Because when somebody asked about, whether these patterns, you can do that, it is. And about the symmetry and the non-symmetry, you see, I happen to be giving a few lectures on German expressionist cinema, and there, the symmetry was purposely distorted most of the times in the sets, which you saw over there. They, of course, explained it as a reflection of the distorted minds of the characters that were being portrayed in that. But distortion of symmetry can be very beautiful, as you were saying. Sometimes you see, because it also catches your attention. I am reminded of this place called Jadoo Tona or something like that on Southern Avenue. There was a restaurant where if you where if you drove past, you couldn't but take notice of it because the symmetry was intentionally distorted over there against the wall.
I see.
So you had to know.
That's interesting.
Jadoo Kadai, right? Jadoo Kadai, it was.
So that proves my point.
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. So that was what I was trying to say. We have one more little pleasant task to perform. May I request Joyanta Sengupta to kindly hand over a memento on behalf of Victoria Memorial to Professor Sinha.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And of course, we have the customary cup of tea waiting for you outside on this side, please. So you may still continue the conversation with Professor Sinha over tea. Thank you very much for coming for this lecture
Yeah.
until we can welcome you for the next event. Thank you.